Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Chasing the Truth. I do have football on in the background. For me, I want to make this a career of mine and make it something that I want to do for the rest of my life. Now, I want to be an NFL analyst and debate and argue sports on TV like a lot of your specific people that you see now today, like Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith, but do it in a better way. I want to bring stats, numbers, information that is not provided for you on TV, and I want to do that for you guys and, for a career. In order for me to do that, I need you guys to like and subscribe, get these videos out there, let everybody see them, and get it known for me to increase my channel. I'm only doing this, doing my job currently that I have part-time until I can fully commit to making more videos and eventually get on TV. That is my goal. I need your guys' help to do it, but without further ado, let's get into it. Last time I had talked about the NFL season and where we were at that time frame. It was a little bit past mid-season, but now the NFL season is over with and the playoffs are here. And we're starting off with the NFC. We've got the Green Bay Packers with the number 1 seed. They got the first round bye. They do not play this weekend when it comes to the playoffs. So they will play whoever wins. They play the lowest remaining seed. You then look at the number 2 seed for the NFC is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And frankly, they are a little bit injury riddled right now. They had one of their best receivers, Chris Godwin, go out with an ACL injury, and he is out for the rest of the season. So you will not see him in the playoffs. And frankly, their team is up and down. Brady's been up and down. I think that Madden cover curse hit him towards the last half of the season, like it did for Patrick Mahomes at the beginning of the season. And is it to be seen whether or not Brady will repeat in the Super Bowl? It has happened with him, but the likelihood of it happening this year is very slim. I think he will win his first game against the Philadelphia Eagles, but after that, it is to be determined. Now, you go on to the 3 seed, that is the Dallas Cowboys. I had no doubt in my mind that they would win the division this year because with Dak Prescott being healthy and being back, that was a massive upgrade compared to the quarterback situation that they had last year. Not only that, they upgraded their defense this offseason, bringing in a lot of key pieces like Malik Hooker at safety, having Trevon Diggs step up in a big way. Even though a lot of people think that he gave up a lot of yards, he has shown that he could be that corner when you need him. And bringing Micah Parsons in the middle of that linebacker core with Leighton Vander Esch and a couple others really helped out. Now, Micah Parsons is my pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year, the linebacker out of Penn State. He has dominated, he has shown that he can be, and he is also a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, but I think that award should go to Myles Garrett, even though it's going to go to TJ Watt. And if you want to have my thoughts on Watt and Garrett, and why I think Garrett is better, and why, I know he's better, go check out my last video on the Defensive Player of the Year award. Now, the Cowboys, they play the San Francisco 49ers, and I'll get into that in just a second, but we'll go to the 4 seed. The 4 seed for the NFC is the Los Angeles Rams. The Los Angeles Rams upgraded their quarterback this year after getting rid of Jared Goff in the offseason. They made a trade with the Detroit Lions, sending Goff to Detroit and a first-round pick for this year and next year, and they acquired Matthew Stafford. Now, do I think Matthew Stafford is a massive upgrade over Jared Goff? Yes. Do I think that he has underperformed on what he should be, especially with that offense and having Sean McVay? I do think he has at some points. But they did enough to win the division, and that's all you could ask out of them. Now, going to the 5th seed for the NFC, you are looking at the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals were the front runner to win that division for the most part of the season. They were 11-0 going into play the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers ended their perfect season, and they kind of fell off after that. After DeAndre Hopkins went down, their wide receiver, who was drafted in 2013 out of Clemson, played for the Texans, and then ended up getting traded to Arizona this past offseason. And then having Kyler Murray go down a little bit has not helped. I think that they should be able to get DeAndre Hopkins back for the playoffs. They got J.J. Watt back. We'll see how it goes. It is a battle of divisional opponents. They've played each other twice, and they're playing each other a third time. We will see how that goes. My pick for that is I think the Rams will come out on top. I think the Cardinals have stumbled a little bit. If you asked me earlier in the season, I would have said the Cardinals, but I'm picking the Rams on this one. You go to the 6th seed now, that is the San Francisco 49ers. I did not expect the San Francisco 49ers to make that leap and get into the playoffs, but Jimmy Garoppolo has been far more impressive than what he had last year. And not only that, with his weapons being healthy, with his offensive line being healthy, an upgraded defense, and the coaching staff doing a lot better, I think that, he has shown that he can be that guy to lead them to a Super Bowl like what he was back in 2019 when they made it but lost to the Chiefs. And now finally for the NFC, the 7th seed, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. Now the Philadelphia Eagles were one of the shockers to get into the playoffs for me because I ultimately had the New Orleans Saints getting in, and it looked like they could have if they had Jameis Winston all season long. Jameis Winston was a dominant force this year, throwing 16 touchdowns to, I think, 5 interceptions before he went down. Or no, sorry, he did not throw that much. I think he only had 9 touchdowns to 6 interceptions before he went down with an ACL injury. And then, it was history after that. The Saints were up and down. They had to have the 49ers get beat by the Rams in order for them to make the playoffs. But all in all, the Rams beat the 49ers. They made it in, and the Saints are on the outside looking in. While the Eagles have a promising young star in Jalen Hurts, and he has stepped up big, and I thought that the Eagles were going to regret trading Wentz and take a step backwards with Hurts, but they actually took a step forward, and they're doing a lot better. Now, for me, do I think that they're going to go far? They've got to make it past the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I just don't see that happening with that defense for the Bucs and how it is. But with the Eagles having 3 first-round picks this year, they could upgrade that defense and offense tremendously. I do think that they need another wide receiver. They need corner help. They need safety help. They need offensive line. They need everything. So having 3 first-round picks, 1 from the Colts and 1 from the Dolphins, is going to help out a lot. Now, going to the AFC side of things, it looked like the Kansas City Chiefs were written off at the beginning of the season, and they ended up coming back and proving to everybody why they are still the top team in the AFC, and frankly why I still think that they are better than the Tennessee Titans, even though the Tennessee Titans have the 1st seed. The Chiefs had the chance to lock away the number 1 seed if they had beaten the Cincinnati Bengals, which they could not do. It was Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow going toe-to-toe with each other, and ultimately the Bengals came out on top while the Chiefs' offense stuttered a little bit in the second half and failing to put up enough points to win that game. So they fell down to the 2 seed. And heading over to the 3 seed, the winners of the AFC East for the 2nd year in a row, the Buffalo Bills. Now, I think that the Buffalo Bills are a hit or miss when it comes to them in the playoffs and in the regular season. They lost to some crappy teams, and Josh Allen at the beginning of the season was looking like an MVP candidate, but then fell off drastically. You're talking about a guy who, signed a massive contract extension. The Bills think that they got their franchise guy, and I think that they do too. But the problem that you have had is this offense has been stuck in motion and has not gone anywhere with Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, Stephon Diggs, and the defense that they have. I think that they should have done a lot better. They even lost to Jacksonville. They lost to Pittsburgh at the beginning of the season. Those are 2 losses that you should not have had as losses. They lost to the Patriots one time, and then they beat them in Foxborough, I think, or maybe at Buffalo. But even still, you should not have lost those 2 games. And frankly, I think that they can beat the Patriots in the playoffs? Yes. Do I think that they're going to make it to the Super Bowl this year? No. They had a better chance last year of making it, but it kind of fell off. Now, the one thing that the Bills are missing that I've been saying for the past 2 years is they are missing a running back. And if they had a top-tier running back and a guy that is, a game changer, that would elevate their offense drastically, and I think that it would give them a better chance to make it to the playoffs. But until then, it is to remain to be seen. We will have to wait and see. This Saturday, the Buffalo Bills play, and we will see how it goes. Then moving on to the 4th seed, winners of the AFC North, and nobody expected this. I expected the Browns or the Ravens to win, but the Cincinnati Bengals, who finished 4-12 last year and finished 10-7 this year. Now, the Bengals are a tricky team because, if you can shut down Jamar Chase and you can get after Joe Burrow, you win the game easily, because that's what the Browns did earlier in the season. They got to Joe Burrow. Denzel Ward was guarding Jamar Chase, shut him down, held him to under 100 yards receiving, and also made him fumble. And we beat the Bengals 41-16 at the beginning of the season, and that is the key piece to shutting down the Cincinnati Bengals. That and stopping Joe Mixon, but, I think that with a lot of the teams that they're playing, they could have that shot. But do I think that they are going to beat the Raiders? I don't know. They have not won a playoff game in over 30 years. They've made it to the playoffs multiple times in the mid to early 2000s and lost. They had, a pretty decent team the last time that they made the playoffs in 2015. They had a chance, but Vontaze Burfict screwed it up for them, and ultimately the Pittsburgh Steelers ended up winning that game and moving on. So, with the Bengals, they were the shocking team this year. The Browns were injury-riddled. The Ravens were massively injury-riddled. And Baker was injured all season long. As for Kareem Hunt, Chubb was out a little bit. And, it was a hit or miss here with a few games that we had. Otherwise, the Browns, I feel like that they could have won 11 or 12 games had they not gotten injured. But ultimately, the Bengals made it, and congrats to them. Now, going on to the 5th seed in the AFC, you are looking at the Oakland Raiders, or this is further known as the Las Vegas Raiders, formerly known as Oakland. Now, Vegas had a chance for them to make history in the NFL. The Pittsburgh Steelers made it into the playoffs because of a technicality. They are 9-7-1 because of that tie that they had with the Detroit Lions earlier in the season, or the Pittsburgh Steelers. And had the Raiders and Chargers tied on Sunday, the Steelers would not have made it into the playoffs for the first time in a while. And they would have been on the outside looking in with Big Ben on his last season in the NFL. Now, you are also looking at how the Raiders have not made the playoffs since 2016, my bad, and Derek Carr didn't even get to play in that game because he had broken his leg. Ultimately, it came down to the last few seconds in overtime. Brandon Staley, the Chargers head coach, had called a timeout, which ultimately screwed their chances of, ending it in a tie. And the Raiders kicked a field goal, won the game, and ended up clinching that 5th seed in the playoffs. And the Chargers went home, and the Steelers made it in. The 6th seed for the AFC is the New England Patriots. Now, I said at the beginning of the season Mac Jones was going to be a bust. I did not think that he would be good. He has proven me wrong, but I still think that part of the reason why he is so good is he's got Bill Belichick as a head coach. A lot of people are debating if it should be him or Jamar Chase for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think it should be hands down Jamar Chase. Mac Jones has kind of stuttered and stumbled a little bit the last few games of the season. And I also think that with a guy that, only threw 3 passes in one game for 19 yards does not deserve an Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, do I think that, they could go far? That is to be determined, whether or not they could beat the Bills and how well he plays. But I do not see them going to the Super Bowl. Nobody in the Super Bowl era as a rookie has gone to the Super Bowl. And if they do somehow make it, Mac Jones will be the first ever rookie to make it to the Super Bowl. And then finally, the 7th seed that you're looking at in the playoffs for the AFC is the Pittsburgh Steelers, a division rival for my Cleveland Browns. I am not going to show any bias or favoritism towards my team. When I am doing these takes, I will go against them if I have to. And to prove a point, I will. But for now, Big Ben has announced that he is going to retire after the season ends. And they needed help to make it into the playoffs, and they ultimately got in. Now, do I think that they are going to move on past this next week? Absolutely not. They play Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and they had to play them earlier in the season and lost. And I think Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are too good to go home empty-handed and not win. And I think Big Ben is going to end his season, end his career as a person who loses yet another playoff game like they did last year against the Cleveland Browns. Now, with that being said, that is how the playoffs are going. To recap, we've got the NFC, Packers at the 1 seed, Bucks at the 2 seed, Cowboys at the 3 seed, the Rams at the 4 seed, the Cardinals at the 5 seed, Niners at the 6 seed, and the Eagles at the 7th seed. And then the AFC, Titans at the 1 seed, Chiefs at the 2 seed, the Bills at the 3 seed, Bengals at the 4 seed, Raiders at the 5 seed, the Patriots at the 6th seed, and last but not least, the Steelers at the 7th seed. Now, for those of you that don't know how the seeding works and how you determine who plays who, the ones that are in the 2 spot play the lowest seed, which means that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Kansas City Chiefs play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then you go on to the 3 seed. The 3 seed plays the 6 seed, so that means the Cowboys are going to play the San Francisco 49ers, and the Bills are playing the New England Patriots, who they already played twice this year since they are in the same division. So it's going to be interesting to see how this year goes in the playoffs. And then finally, you've got the 4 seed Rams plays the 5th seed Cardinals. They've already played each other twice as well, being divisional rivals. So we will have to see how that goes. And then finally, you got the Bengals playing the Las Vegas Raiders at Cincinnati. So we will see how that goes. And that is pretty much it for the playoff picture. I will update you once we finally get confirmation on who wins the games starting this weekend. I know that there's games starting on Saturday. I believe the first one is at 1. If not, I believe it is at 4 o'clock. And then going into Sunday night, you've got the last one. There's 3 games going on. I believe it is the Bucks and Eagles first, and then I think the Steelers and Chiefs, and then I believe it is the Niners and Cowboys, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And we will transition into other news. Going into other news for the NFL, we now had Black Monday happen yesterday. And for those of you that don't know what Black Monday is, every year after the NFL season is over with, there are NFL teams that fire head coaches due to poor play, poor coaching, poor records, whatever it may be. They fire their head coaches and try to move on in the organization. Now, we currently have 6 head coaching vacancies open, and the 2 that were open at the earlier part of the season were the Jacksonville Jaguars, who fired Urban Meyer with like 4 or 5 games left to go, and John Gruden, who stepped down as the Raiders head coach due to allegations of him sending messages between him and the commissioner and the NFL in the past. Now, to go along with the Jags and the Raiders, we now have the Vikings, Bears, Broncos, and Miami Dolphins that have their head coaches gone. Not only that, the Vikings, Bears, and Giants have GM openings as well. They fired their general managers and are looking for new. The Giants didn't fire theirs, he just retired, but the Bears and Vikings fired their GMs and are looking for new ones. Now, the most intriguing one and shocking one that comes to mind when you looking at these coaching vacancies is the Miami Dolphins. Brian Flores had that team on a winning streak. He had back-to-back seasons where he went 10-7 and 9-8, or I think 9-8 last year, 9-8 this year. Or sorry, 9-7 last year, and then 10-7 last year and 9-8 this year, because he barely missed the playoffs last year, and he barely missed them again this year. But according to Stephen Carlson, the Miami Dolphins owner, there was tension between him and the GM, and a lot of people were butting heads in the building, and ultimately he thought the best choice was to fire Brian Flores and get him out of the building, which I think that they will live to regret that, because I think that he was a coach where the players loved him, wanted to play for him, and loved how he was the head coach, and I think that they are massively going to regret that, but we will have to wait and see. Only time will tell. To keep a general manager over a head coach who has had 2 winning seasons but barely missed the playoffs is baffling to me. But we'll have to wait and see. Next, Matt Nagy got fired for the Bears. That was a move that was long overdue and had a long time coming. I thought he should have been fired last year, but they are starting fresh. Now that they've got Justin Fields as the quarterback, they got to bring a GM in and see where they want to go from there. We need a guy they need a guy that is going to develop Justin Fields as a quarterback, as a player, and see what they could do and offer to this team. This team's got talent. They've got David Montgomery, who's been a pretty decent running back. They've got Darnell Mooney. Allen Robinson has underperformed, but I think, if you bring a guy in here who's going to elevate this offense and bring the best out of Justin Fields, it's going to be great. They just need to get an offensive line in the end of this, in the draft and in free agency. Bring in a couple other pieces. They should be good. It just matters who they get as a head coach. Going into the Jacksonville Jaguars, they had the number 1 overall pick last year, and they've got it this year in the draft. They got Trevor Lawrence, their franchise guy, in the draft, who is a generational talent. And yes, I do think that he is a guy that needs to step up and perform well, and I think that he will. I think that with him, the Jags have the guy that they need. It did not show it this year because of the team that he had around him. I think that he had a lackluster team. He didn't have a good offensive line. He had no tight ends. He had Marvin Jones and Laviska Shenault Jr. as his weapons. And, Marvin Jones is a slot guy who played outside and pretty much, is older. He needs more weapons. He needs a better offensive line, and he needs a guy that is going to develop him properly rather than having a guy like Urban Meyer who, frankly, did not get on the plane with the team or the bus. He, was seen at nightclubs and going back and forth doing that. And, not the guy that they need leading a person like Trevor Lawrence in the future. And, they have 2 good running backs, Travis Etienne and James Robinson, but you need more for that team on both sides of the ball. Get him some weapons this offseason, get him some help, and get him a good coach. Then you got Mike Zimmer, who got fired from the Minnesota Vikings. It was long overdue. That team is too talented not to have him gone. He should have been gone last year, but they gave him another shot. And ultimately, he cost them a playoff berth because, with them having the talent that they did, they should have made it, but they didn't. It ultimately was his downfall. and a lot of the people wanted him gone anyway, and the players started not liking him because of things that he was saying, taking no responsibility and putting the blame on others. He needed to go. It was a good transition and time to get out of there. The Raiders, enough said with that. John Gruden, I already told you what happened. And then finally, the Broncos. Vic Fangio was this defensive guru that led the Chicago Bears to the best defense in the NFL in 2018. Mitch Trubisky and the Bears had a 12-4 record. Matt Nagy had won Coach of the Year, and it looked like they had their head coach and maybe the future franchise quarterback for the Bears. Vic Fangio leaves in the offseason, takes the Denver Broncos job. This Denver Broncos defense performed well, but was lackluster at some points just because you were missing a lot of pieces. Now, is all the blame on Vic Fangio? I don't think so. I think part of the reason is you're in a division where you got three good quarterbacks in Derek Carr, Justin Herbert, and the best QB in the league, or second best if you want to consider Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to deny that. With Patrick Mahomes, and yet you have a team that has been transitioning from Drew Lock to Teddy Bridgewater and then back and forth. And frankly, you can't win with that, with not having that. Not to mention, the offensive talent is too talented for that. You had Javonte Williams, you had Melvin Gordon, you also had Tim Patrick, you had Cortland Sutton, and you had Jerry Jeudy on the offensive side of the ball, and a decent offensive line. I think the thing that they were missing most is the quarterback. Now, do I think that Vic Fangio should have been fired? Probably not. The defense underperformed with him being a defensive-minded head coach and calling the plays, but I think that, part of the reason why is being in a tough division in the AFC West like that, and also not having a quarterback really hurt them in the early run, because they were 3-0 to start the season, and then they fell off drastically, and I think that accounts to the quarterback play that you had being subpar. But ultimately, they fired him, and they're moving on to somebody new, whoever that may be. They've already have 9 or 10 interviews set up for people, but that is all the news that is up to date in the NFL with the playoff picture and the coaching vacancies. Keep your eye on the New York Giants, because it is still to be seen whether or not Joe Judge will be fired. We have to wait and see what the new GM wants when he gets hired in there, because he may want to start new, get rid of that regime, and get rid of Joe Judge as a coach in general. So you got 6 vacancies right now. Look for there to be one more, hopefully, maybe, who knows. And I could see one other going in the mix, but that is it. That is all the information we have for you today. Make sure you like and subscribe this video. Tell people, get my channel thriving and up there in the views, in the rankings, and I need more subscribers, I need more views, and I want to make this a career to debate back and forth, make a talk show out of it, make a radio show out of it, whatever it may be. Talking football, talking sports is what I love to do for a living, and giving you all the information that you want. If you guys have any questions on any videos that you want in the future, please leave a comment below in the video after it is uploaded, and I will make sure that I look at it and then use your ideas for future videos. I will try to go live on YouTube a couple times to make sure that I have a live chat going, and I could look at it there and do some videos then. But that is all I have. Thank you for tuning in to Chasing the Truth, and you all have a great day.